day to all of you. My name is Johannes van der Klauw. For the last 2.5 years, it has been my privilege to serve as the UNHCR representative in Bangladesh. Today marks 6 years since more than 700,000 Rohingya refugees fled from Rakhine State to Bangladesh in August 2017. This was the latest in a line of exoduses spanning several generations that have scattered the Rohingya people across the globe to seek refuge. From Canada to Bangladesh, from Malaysia to the US, from Australia to the Gulf countries. Here in Bangladesh, more than 960,000 Rohingya are currently registered as refugees, most of them residing in the largest refugee camp in the world, in Cox's Bazar, a settlement of 33 congested camps. They live in fragile conditions and face relenting uncertainty. 6 years on, this is now a so-called protracted crisis. Refugees in Bangladesh continue to be entirely dependent on humanitarian assistance for their most basic and urgent needs, such as food and proper nutrition, secure and dignified homes to live in, opportunities to learn, build skills, earn a living. Refugees are dependent on our assistance for access to safe water and sanitation and hygiene, for basic health care and medicine, for cooking fuel and other simple household items, including blankets in the winter, special gear for protection against the monsoon season's torrential rains. Almost everyone in the camps has needs that cannot fully be met by what are now dwindling humanitarian funding. Every time I visit, I listen to new stories of struggle and endurance. I hear parents express their worries that their children aren't getting enough nutrition to sustain their growing minds and bodies. I hear youth voice aspirations to become doctors, engineers, artists, teachers, but wondering if the lack of higher education opportunities in the camps would not put their dreams out of reach. Over half of the refugees are under the age of 18. Also, over half are women and girls. Men, women, boys and girls, they all dream of more decent lives for themselves and for their families and for their community. In the precarious conditions of the camps, sometimes dreams can feel like acts of daring, bold expressions of belief that despite multiple challenges and needs, change for the better is possible, and that if we work together in solidarity, solutions can be found. But these dreams are fragile, beset by obstacles on all sides, by recurrent natural disasters such as monsoon rains, cyclones, fires, but also a worsening security situation with increasing frequent attacks by armed groups. And then now there is the reduced funding from the international community. These Rohingya dreams are all the more precious, but they need to be preserved and protected to allow them to ultimately materialize. Every year, the humanitarian organizations working in the Rohingya response put together a so-called joint response plan, together with the government of Bangladesh. It aims to protect and to assist all the people living in the camps. This plan covers everything, from housing to health to toilets to special programs that empower Rohingya women and girls, reduce violence against them. This year's plan is unfortunately severely underfunded. There are already serious consequences to note. For instance, the cuts to the food rations. They have now been reduced by 1/3, from $12 to $8 a month. These cuts are forcing families to make hard choices, skipping meals, or allowing only one person to go hungry so that another family member can eat. We cannot accept this. We have to do better before things get even worse. It is very clear to me and my colleagues that when refugees are given opportunities to better their own lives, they can achieve incredible things. They can build bridges, to lift up their brothers and sisters, as we see in the camps every day. You, the diaspora also in Canada, you are evidence of why it is so important to invest in building the skills and resilience of the refugees while they are still living in the camps. With the recent government of Bangladesh approval of the skills development and volunteer engagements rules, they are now able to teach more skills and offer more livelihood opportunities. Rohingya refugees enrolled in training courses tell us how this gives them a sense of purpose and sense of hope for a dignified life. They will now be able to apply these skills to make a living in the camps and in the future in Myanmar, we hope, when conditions would be conducive to such return to the homeland they still dream of and long for. Today, also over 30,000 Rohingya refugees support their communities in the camps through work as volunteers. They do everything from fighting fires, building roads, providing medical health support, mental health counseling, teaching classes in the Myanmar curriculum schools, offering support to victims of gender-based violence, planting trees to regreen the camps, producing female hygiene materials, and preserving the Rohingya culture through stories, photos, and art like this mural behind me, and more. I personally remain inspired by the sight of more adolescent girls attending classes. I'm encouraged by the passion of young Rohingya men fighting sexual and gender-based violence. I'm moved by the eagerness of Rohingya of all ages to make the camp environment better. The positive stories of more and more women who are learning new skills by volunteering in production centers. And the list goes on. Rohingya refugees are doing everything they can to live a dignified life. Last month, the new school year was launched. A record of over 300,000 children are now enrolled in learning centers in all grades, covered by the Myanmar curriculum. And we are training more and more teachers with pedagogy and facilitation skills, further building up the community's capacity, helping to unlock the great talents within. These are some of the positive things we are doing. Each individual Rohingya refugee who graduates a grade or training course with a new skill, who plants a tree, who writes a poem, who changes their mind about the roles of girls in the society, is evidence of what can be. And we must stand together in solidarity and must work to close the gap between the hopes of the Rohingya men, women, boys and girls and their present reality. Hope requires commitment. It requires steady, tireless work that sometimes feels endless and incremental and too slow to make a real difference, but still we must persist. I call on the international community to persist in their commitment to the Rohingya people with sustained funding and increased visibility for this crisis. We must continue to believe and invest in solutions, in our ability to create a world that truly reflects our values and offers protection and opportunity to the most vulnerable. Thank you.